Hey everybody, it's Graham bringing you another weird Japanese game you might want to give a try.
遅くまで大変ですね。
So, you know how Puyo Puyo was popular in Japan? Like a lot. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but if you're a fan of what we do around here, we talk a lot about Puyo Puyo. It kind of took over Japan in a lot of the early early mid 90s and maybe arguably continues to do that. Puyo Puyo is still very popular. Well, clearly everyone else tried to make their own puzzle game, right? And some of them were more or less successful. But one of the ones that actually worked out pretty well is Taisen Puzzle Dama, which is Konami's take on puzzling. Now, Konami attached it to really any franchise it ever had. This particular one we're looking at here is Tokimeki Memorial Taisen Puzzle Dama, and we're playing it on the Saturn here. Um, This is a fairly easy version of the game to acquire. It's fairly cheap. It's fairly common. There are lots of different versions to play, and I'll get to that in a moment. But this is one where if you just, if you're going on eBay or whatever, and you just want to pick up a copy of it for something, this is probably the cheapest one you're going to find. This is based on Tokimeki Memorial, which, if you're unfamiliar with Tokimeki Memorial, it's a dating sim series. So the characters here are, the characters from that game. The important thing to know if you're playing the puzzle part is that they each, if you see this little icon in the left there, they have different drop piles, and we'll get to that. I'm gonna use this character because I like this drop this drop configuration, and we'll show that in a moment. But of course, every time they attach story to it, they attach story to it. If you care a lot about the characters of Tokimeki Memorial, I suppose you could get something out of it. I suppose the game was competing with Sakura Taisen Hanagumi Columns, which is Sega's Columns franchise, mixed with Sakura Wars, right? Sega has Puyo Puyo now, but that was not always the case. That was a compile franchise for a lot of the 90s, so Sega's puzzle game it could attach to anything that moves was Columns. There's story elements here, and we're gonna kind of skip through them because I don't know these characters very well. I know they're probably interesting characters that people in Japan had a lot of affinity for in the mid 90s because there's a lot of Tokimeki Memorial games. But for this purpose, they are faces in the background of our puzzle game. So we have colors here, which is unsurprising, right? It's a falling block puzzle game. And we're trying to match a color, right? But now you see those small blocks and those hearts. Those are essentially garbage. But the thing to know about that is when you match garbage next to it, it turns to a piece of that color. So there are games like Puyo where you're trying to get rid of the garbage by matching things next to it. This is like that. There are games like Puzzle League where you're trying to match the garbage so that they turn into normal blocks. This is that, but it's both of those things at the same time. Where you're trying to match those colors, but you can predict what garbage they're going to become. Because whenever you match something that touches it, it will turn into exactly what you expect it to. I think is interesting. Then I have these smiley happy blocks there. They kind of explode and turn everything around them, including diagonals, into normal blocks. They're also bomb-like blocks that get rid of that turn anything big into something small. And that's kind of as complicated as this game gets. Here we go. And if it's going to turn everything around it small, might as well put it somewhere where everything around it is already small. Oh no, I'm getting a little bit rocked here. He'll be okay. Probably. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic. Oh no. Okay. Well, I'm definitely being overly optimistic. But the cool thing about, these blocks like this is, you can really fight back with combos. Because you can predict what everything will be. And also the stacks that get dropped are based on the character you pick. Oh no! Alright, I'm going to try to do a little better next time here. But you get the idea. You can match 3 of a kind. It doesn't matter in any configuration. You just match. So there's this version of the game, which released on a lot of things, PlayStation, Saturn, that kind of thing. The PlayStation version is on the Japanese PSN, if you want to check that out. The last versions, I say the last versions, I'll get to that in a moment. The last normal versions of this game were on the PS2 with a version based on poppin' music, and on the GBA with a game on like some obscure franchise, Wagamama Fairy. I don't know. I'm unfamiliar with that sort of thing, and yeah, I'd love to do more research at some point. But there is a version of this game on a GBA, which might be a good way to play a puzzle game. Now, what happened to this franchise in the 15 years between then and now is phones. This game is on all the phones. And there's actually one possibility. If you're in the West, you haven't played any Japanese games, there's one possibility that you have encountered this gameplay. And it is in the Castlevania puzzle game, the mobile Castlevania puzzle game. Use this gameplay as a base. It is not really still going as, like a 2010, 2011 era mobile game, so it's kind of over. But, it's possible that you've played that. That is probably the most successful franchise in the West that it's ever had, so it wasn't like they were ever going to localize the, Susume Taisen versions of this game, or the Twin B version of this game. Yes, there's a Twin B version of this game. So, it's interesting the sort of franchises they picked. Because Konami had franchises that are relevant in the West, and then they had the franchises that they put this puzzle game on. I would love to finish off this with, with something successful, but I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Oh. Playing a Japanese puzzle game against the AI is difficult. Especially I didn't start in the lowest mode. I wanted to kind of show you this. But yeah, that's the game. It's a cool thing. I recommend it if you ever have a chance to play this puzzle game. It especially with all these licenses, it will get lost on the shelf or in the bargain bin or whatever, wherever you find import games. In eBay, it's like, what is this random visual novel spinoff? Well, it's a really cool puzzle game. Check it out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.